Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Molly Hudson. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we're taking a look back at some of our quirkier stories, from ghost tourism in Arizona to lightsaber fencing in Los Angeles.
Refugees from all over the world come to America seeking a better future. One restaurant in Los Angeles is highlighting the cuisines of refugees and asylum seekers. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Day joins us from Los Angeles to take us inside the kitchen.
The menu isn't only the unique thing about Flavors from Afar. The kitchen offers a unique opportunity to experience the American dream. Flavors from Afar is a restaurant with a rotating menu located in LA's Little Ethiopia neighborhood, and it's dedicated to employing refugees and asylum seekers to cook the cuisines of their homelands.
We change every month based on the refugee or immigrant or asylum or former asylee that we partner with, and then we give them 5% of the proceeds at the end of that month before we take any of the profit there.
One chef says asylum seekers face serious challenges, and finding work can change lives.
So I am an asylum seeker, and I'm here with my partner. We come from Mexico. And in July, she got sick and she was in the hospital. And, I didn't have a job and I didn't have any way to support myself. And I just randomly met a stranger and she told me about this place.
According to the United Nations, the number of refugees worldwide has increased from 2015 to 2020. Following the recent withdrawal of military forces from Afghanistan, Americans saw dramatic departures from the Kabul airport as Afghans fled Taliban rule. This restaurant is bringing attention to the flight of refugees around the world. The co-founder of the restaurant says none of the chefs are professionally trained, but they offer a wealth of cultural experience.
They just have these long-time family recipes that they're really willing to share with us, and we're super grateful for that. And they'll work with us for a test kitchen for over the course of like a week, developing the menu, coming in-house to actually get professional training from our program instructor, Chef Kenna.
Some of the foods the restaurant has highlighted are from Afghanistan, Venezuela, and Lebanon, and the portions reflect the hospitality of these cultures.
If you ever had the privilege and opportunity to go and eat at an immigrant family's home, you'll know that they'll give you so much food and large portions, and you feel like they're just force feeding you all the time because they want to make sure that you don't leave hungry, and we want to make sure that that message is still really embodied within the restaurant here too.
Recently, the Biden administration announced they will raise the number of refugees allowed in the U.S. to 125,000. In Los Angeles, Amanda Day, Cronkite News.
It's the final week of the Arizona State Fair for family and friends to head to the fairgrounds for thrilling rides and shocking shows. Our reporter, Sydney Whitty, isn't there for either. She went to the fair and found some food that provides more than just sustenance.
This year, there are nearly 80 food vendors at the Arizona State Fair. If you're hungry, you can find anything from the flaming hot corn dog to crepes. But we found one vendor who's bringing culture to the table.
The original Navajo taco stand at the Arizona State Fair has been operated by the same Navajo family for over half a century. The family says it's important for them to spread their culture by sharing family recipes.
We are here with what we've learned from our grandmother and mother and father, and now here continue on with the same ingredients and everything they started with.
The original Navajo taco stand is the only one remaining at the Arizona State Fair.
There used to be, I believe, like 8 different tribes here, and we were all lined up, and they all made the bread, the fried bread.
Mitchell says it goes beyond just food.
To me, if we were to leave, then the native culture would be gone from the State Fair completely.
Its clear authenticity keeps customers coming back.
Because I am actually a Navajo, Native American, and we always buy from them because they are the best.
Bennett attempts to make fry bread herself, but says it doesn't compare. The fry bread at the original Navajo taco stand is handmade and unique to the family.
Even the bread process is something that is learned from a child. Making the dough, how to prepare the bread by hand.
The ingredients, the history, they embody what it means to be a Native American.
We strive to continue to push for our culture, our language, the arts to continue.
The original Navajo taco stand has been in business for 56 years and plan to continue sharing their culture within the Arizona State Fair.
The family brings their own flour and ingredients from New Mexico in order to maintain their authentic Navajo tacos for everyone to enjoy and spread their native culture. At the State Fair, Sydney Whitty for Cronkite News.
If you would like to get a taste of the fair but haven't had a chance to make it out there this year, our reporters have been reporting from the fair all month. We've created an interactive video platform where you can navigate the fairgrounds and get a behind-the-scenes peek at everything from the livestock judging to craft vendors and more. You can choose the stories you want to learn more about on our website, cronkitenews.azpbs.org. You can also find top Arizona stories there as well.
Several places in Arizona are known for their ghost stories that capture the attention of many, especially during the month of October. Cronkite News reporter Carolina Hassett visited a town to see how ghost tourism plays a role in the local economy.
The attacker is in the window right now watching us. It is angry.
It's the time of year where many people are eager to come in contact with the paranormal.
You saw the curtains move? That's not uncommon.
And the city of Tombstone is the perfect place to potentially come in contact with the afterlife.
Any town that has a myth or a legend is good for a tour, and this town certainly has that.
The Wild West town relies heavily on tourism and is still recovering from the impact of COVID-19.
It kind of became a ghost town in a way. I mean, it was a tough year here.
However, the town has seen more people coming back recently, with help from friends on the other side.
And it's also got a reputation for being haunted. So people definitely want to come back. It's just a question of how quickly and when.
Freaky Foot Tours in Flagstaff say they are thriving after extending tours beyond October this year.
In the 3 weeks we operated last October, we had over 1,000% increase in business from our previous year. And we're on track to have a 700% increase this year from last year.
But Jones also thinks his tours attract a large crowd because of something else.
Things that create ghosts generally aren't like happy stories. So there's also a lot of true crime. There's a lot to get out of it, regardless of what you're into.
And a lot of those tourism dollars come from locals.
We have a lot of people who just drift down from other parts of Arizona who say, you know, I've lived here all my life, and I've seen the movie Tombstone a million times, but I've never been to Tombstone.
But there seems to be one place many of the tourists want to visit. One stop on the tour that is considered a crowd favorite is the Birdcage Theater, one of the most haunted places in the town, where up to 29 entities have been detected. In Tombstone, Carolina Hassett, Cronkite News.
According to the Tombstone Chamber of Commerce, ghost tours bring business. However, television shows about their ghostly history bring the town even more attention.
Feeling witchy? It's that time of year again, and Halloween is back. While we normally associate broomsticks and spooky spells with witches, Cronkite News reporter Brianna Isbell spoke to a real-life witch who debunks all the myths.
It's not anything like you see in the movies.
Samansky Lockett is the high priestess of the Sacred Spiral Pagan Church of Arizona. Throughout her lifetime as a witch, she has defied the stereotypes of witchcraft, debunking myths and revealing the truth of her practice.
The magic is the manipulation of energy, drawing the energy into ourselves to achieve those goals.
From the beginning of time, witches have had a bad reputation, and that when they cast a spell, bad things will happen. But according to Samansky Lockett, that is very far from the reality.
You do a spell to make it happen, but then you go and you turn in your resumes and, you do the footwork. You don't just sit at home and say, okay, I've done the spell, now it's going to happen.
Believe it or not, their practice is more similar to others than we think.
The main difference is most religions will pray to God to help them, to give them what they want. Pagans, we don't pray to our gods. We invite them to help us and to assist us.
The evolution of witchcraft stereotypes dates as far back as the 12th century. With Halloween among us, Samansky Lockett says it's important to know the truth.
And we call upon the elements, air, fire, water, earth, and spirit, to guide us in what we do. And we also call upon the God and Goddess because we believe the duality of our deity.
Szymanski Lockett wants to put emphasis on the harmlessness of her practice. She says paganism is just like other religions in many ways. In Phoenix, Brianna Isbell, Cronkite News.
Szymanski Lockett says she hopes others will take the time to learn more about her beliefs.
Hispanic restaurants across the valley were no strangers to the challenges of the pandemic. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Tizmaneski takes a look at how one restaurant overcame the hardship of COVID-19.
Small businesses were severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In Arizona, some were about to close their doors. We talked to the owner of a Salvadoran restaurant who tells us how they dealt with the situation. Since 2002, the Salvadoreño restaurant has been bringing unique dishes to the valley. Yesenia Ramirez is the co-owner of the restaurant.
We just wanted to have more options, so people can come in.
Those options are pupusas, a traditional dish from El Salvador made with corn and filled with cheese and all kinds of meats, from pork to steak, chicken, and beyond.
In the East Valley, that's where we started. There wasn't a lot of options, for our culture, our country.
Ramirez says she saw rapid success. Since opening the first location in 2002, they opened 4 more across the valley and even one in California. But things changed when the pandemic hit.
We had about a 30 to 40% drop in our sales.
They adapted by switching to takeout only, but even this came with problems.
There was a shortage of those containers because everybody was needing, takeout containers. The gloves, for example, the gloves that would normally cost us about $8, $8 a box, more or less, they went up to $30. A lot of it, the financial part not only has been the decrease in sales, but also the increase in prices of our material.
According to survey data, 59% of Hispanic households in Arizona reported job disruptions in the first 4 months of the pandemic. Angie Amarias from the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce says they offer help to Hispanic businesses.
We connected them with business success grants. We connected with the Raza Development Fund, one of the highest institutional Hispanic financial institution.
Just under 2 years later, things are now looking up for Ramirez and her restaurant. While it brought struggles, the pandemic also brought a learning experience.
So I feel like right now we're actually doing better now as far as the sales. We're definitely getting a lot of new customers.
Many organizations, both public and private, are assisting Hispanic businesses to recover from the crisis. In the broadcast center, Ryan Tizmaneski, Cronkite News.
Arizona has their own mariachi ensembles, but one Los Angeles group stands out. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Amanda Day takes us to one of their special performances.
Mariachi Arcoíris de Los Angeles says it is the first LGBTQ+ mariachi band in the world.
It's just incredible to be, in a group of this caliber to begin with, and a group of this intersectional identity, because it very much fits in with my intersectional identity, being queer and Mexican. So it's just, it's just a place where I can just show that to the world.
According to the ensemble, they are also home to the first transgender woman in the history of mariachi to work as a musician.
The first time that Carlos formed Mariachi Arcoíris de Los Angeles, but back then I was, my name was different. I was presenting myself as a different person. I was not out publicly. I was still discovering myself and what I am, what I was, but I was a gay male presenting myself in mariachi.
This particular mariachi ensemble started in 2000 and then again in 2016, and its members are proud to be a part of the LGBTQ+ community.
Our music really encompasses everything about the human emotion. So whether that be love or betrayal or talking about the farm animals on the ranch, this music comes from the country folk, and that's where it originates from.
Members of the ensemble feel like this is a place where they can be themselves. In Los Angeles, Amanda Day, Cronkite News.
Mariachi music is significant in the Mexican culture, and bands are often hired to perform for weddings and other special occasions across the Southwest.
A not so long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a global pandemic forced the Jedi Knights into hiding. Our Los Angeles Bureau reporter Jordan Moffat ventured out to find out what they've been up to.
While the end of the battle against COVID-19 is yet to be seen, these Jedi Knights have returned from exile, sparring and sharpening their lightsaber wielding skills once again.
We are AZ Saber. We are, to put it simply, a mixed martial arts lightsaber fighting club.
The mission of the Star Wars superfans of the AZ Saber Club and others like it? Safety, fun, and being one with the Force. Here in a different sector of the galaxy, Los Angeles, Lightspeed Saber fighters compete for bragging rights in a ranking system. It's inspired many local Padawans to grow into Jedi through online training during the pandemic.
I've actually been part of the team that has worked with Kang and some of the higher ups in Lightspeed to design the online training program. So really studying different fencing types, different sword play, and really kind of creating a technical manual of how to do this sport.
But you don't have to be some martial arts prodigy to be one of the best. Tom DiMartino's just a fan of Star Wars, but as he ignites his Sith blade, he becomes the 6th best fighter in the nation.
That's the great thing about this community is you can bring absolutely nothing to the table and just pick up things over time like I did. You get people who have kendo training, you have people who have Eskrima training.
Lightspeed Saber's next qualifier will take place on November 13th as they prepare for the regional championship in December. In Los Angeles, Jordan Moffitt, Cronkite News.
Congratulations to DiMartino, who took home first place for the first time in his Jedi training as a lightsaber fencer at the October qualifier.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News Tonight. Thanks for joining us. Break It Down is next.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. You know, I don't go anywhere without my passport. And now, thanks to PBS Passport, you can travel with me and watch all 10 seasons of Rick Steves Europe and all my travel specials. This exclusive streaming service is just for our members. Not only can you see all my shows, but you can see thousands of hours of your favorite public television shows. Become a member today and get your passport.
Break It Down is brought to you in part by Mayo Clinic and viewers like you.
Bill Roden, thanks for joining us to break down the larger meaning, the lessons from the John Gruden emails. You and I have been talking about the John Gruden emails since they came out. Round one was racist comments about the NFL Players Association director. And then later came out comments that he made that were both sexist, misogynistic, homophobic. So he kind of ran the gamut of things that he put in emails. And, you know, we talked about it a lot, but I want to talk some about the lessons different people should take away from this. And I know as you've talked about it, you've said a couple really nuanced things that I'll try to bring out as well. But first, what's the broad lesson we should take from what John Gruden did and kind of the whole aura that's taking place about these emails?
You know, Ken, to me, the basic one was keep your racism out of email. To me, it's, you know, it's just, to me, it's baffling.
That's
how do you
fundamental, right? Just number one.
Number one, you know, survival 101, keep that stuff out of print. Now, you know, I know we've been talking about getting better and all that. I just think that what this is going to do is drive people more underground, drive these feelings and thoughts more underground. I mean, smart people, you know, and it's too bad for those who we want reform. This is the only way we've been able to identify stuff is when people are stupid enough to put this stuff in writing. So to me, the one lesson you tell you, man, you know, we've been telling our kids that, man, before you hit the send button, don't even put it in writing. First of all,
So we got a very good broad lesson is don't put racism, anything, don't put it in email, which is a good way to operate in life. We didn't have to do that until maybe when the email started, 95, 96, something like that.
Right.
What about from this whole setting that you have a coach that many players, I guess, liked a lot, loved, someone Super Bowl with? You know, for a player though, do you think any differently about your current coach or coaches in the past because of what you're seeing from this one coach?
Maybe this thing raises more questions than answers.
Okay.
Because now we're wondering what goes on behind the veil. You know, we've talked about this before. This kind of exposed the depth and breadth of what we call the old boys network. When you dig into these conversations, you know, the New York Times subsequently published conversations between Bruce Allen when he was the president of the Washington football team and Jeff Pash with the NFL. And clearly, you know, these guys know each other. They're so comfortable with each other. And to me, I just extrapolated that to hundreds and hundreds of the clubs to which they belong. This club of old, or not old, but white men who run things, you know. And I'm thinking, man, no wonder Kaepernick was blackballed and Eric Reed doesn't have a job, and why you only have 2 or 3 black executives in the NFL, because there's this club and these guys know each other. They're very comfortable with each other's attitudes. So to me, that was it wasn't particularly uplifting, Ken, you know, to be aware of the meetings that you're not in. And these aren't even formal meetings. These are just kind of, you know, like casual, you know, impromptu old boys networks type of thing. So I don't know, how do you deal with that? You know, I mean, that's just into the fiber of what this country has become in terms of who runs it. You know, how do you deal with that? I guess we just keep chipping away one decade after the other, you know. But that to me was the most disheartening thing, and that Gruden was just sort of rendered expendable. That he's expendable, and then the NFL said, we're not releasing any more documents because we're not going to implicate anybody else in our club.
What do you do if you're exposed in this way? What's the proper path to take? You remember Gruden went the I don't have a racist bone in my body path, and kind of all that sort of thing. What's the more successful path to possible redemption if these things happen to you? What have you seen out there that's worked?
I guess my first thing was go to your IT guy and see if he could erase stuff.
So you're going to begin and end with the practical. Don't do it. And if you
don't do it, and if you have done it, can you get it erased? And I guess the other thing is just basically, I don't know if Gruden would have just faced up to it and said, listen, this is how I felt. You know, this is how I felt 10 years ago. Right. Obviously, I've evolved. And I guess if that could really be the truth, if you can evolve, if something like that comes out and you just kind of face up to it, which is easier said than done. You know, none of these, some of my best friends are whatever. Some of my best friends are trans, whatever. That's the first thing I tell, don't say that. You know, that's the sure mark of guilt and unrepentant guilt. When you say, well, come on, you know, my next, some of my best, you know, do not say that. Whatever you say, don't say that. Just, you know, face up to it. And if it's in the past, say that's how I used to feel, but I don't feel that way now.
The textbook instruction is generally apologize quickly, talk about whatever you're going to do in terms of reparations. How are you going to try to repair the situation and move forward? But don't hedge on anything. Take it in, move forward. And in your case of explanation too, and make sure the IT people are on the case from that point going forward. I was going to ask you, what should parents and any kids are paying attention? What should kids take away from this? You know, you kind of got your life ahead of you. What opportunity do you have? What lessons do you learn from a moment like this?
I guess it's really to take to heart. It depends on who parents. Maybe some of your parents believe this stuff.
Right.
I mean, diversity really matters, and to being open-minded really matters. You know, diversity of thought. Maybe expose your children to just a wide range of people. And I guess you have to examine your own heart. You know, how do you feel? we talk about conversations at the dinner table. Be correct at the dinner table too. Don't just let things slide. Don't say one thing when the camera's aren't on and when you're just among your family and something else publicly. I think when you see these attitudes, even in private, I think you have to self-correct quickly and do it in private. That these things, misogyny, homophobia, racism, it's not cool behind closed doors. Obviously, it's not cool when you're in public, but it's never cool, particularly in the era we're in now, where you can just kind of invent your own reality. I think parents who really care have to be the biggest watchdogs. I think you really have to pay stronger attention to what is said, who your kids hang out with, and what they're thinking, what they're exposed to, and correct it on the spot.
Bill, that's great. Thanks again for joining us to break down the lessons we should learn from the John Gruden NFL emails.
Hey, thanks, Ken. My pleasure.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you. If you have comments about Arizona PBS News, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Thank you.